This is a chocolate lover's dream come true. I'm Lindsay from My Better Batch, and today we're gonna make the most indulgent treat for a crowd. Today we're making a chocolate toffee crunch trifle. A trifle is a classic British dessert, and typically it's made by combining ladyfingers or sponge cake that have been soaked in brandy or sherry with custard and fruit and whipped cream. And it's all layered up in a dish that looks just like this, so you can see the beautiful layers of each component. And while this classic dessert is absolutely delicious, it is missing one important component: chocolate. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate toffee crunch trifle, a modern take on a classic British dessert. Now let me take a minute to set the stage for what we're going to make today. Homemade chocolate toffee crunch cookies, rich chocolate cake, creamy chocolate pudding, light fluffy Cool Whip, and Heath bar pieces. This is a chocolate lover's dream come true. So we're gonna prepare our trifle dessert in a trifle dish. There's a few different formats you can see here. This is probably what you're most familiar with when you think of a trifle dish. Today, we're gonna use our big trifle dish only because we have a lot of things that need to fit inside. Here is a trick though. If you don't have a trifle dish in your own kitchen, have no fear. All you need to do is just use a large glass bowl. The reality is we just want to see the layers. That's really what makes this dessert over the top. And so a big glass bowl would work just fine. The first layer of our trifle is rich chocolate cake. I used store-bought cake mix, Betty Crocker chocolate fudge to be exact. I baked it off yesterday to give the cake a chance to cool, covered it overnight, hid it from my family to make sure it made it to today. All we're gonna do is cut it into very small squares. This is something that is really fast. You can also have your kids do it. The size and shape don't matter very much, but we're just gonna cut it like this. The second layer of our trifle is gonna be our chocolate toffee crunch cookies. Now, you also could use store-bought, but here's the deal. You can use anything that pairs well with chocolate. I've used chocolate sugar cookies, I've used peanut butter cookies. It's just a way to be able to give your trifle a little bit of a different texture when it's added with the cake and the Cool Whip and the Heath bar. You're gonna wanna prepare your cookies and cake a day before you plan to assemble the trifle. This gives them adequate time to fully cool, which is really important for assembly. So to prepare the cookies, we're gonna set 5 whole cookies to the side. The rest of your cookies, we're gonna use our knife and just cut them into small pieces. It doesn't really need to be perfect. I like them to be small enough where they pour really nicely and cover all of the cake. All right, so I think that these cookies are ready to rock. I think I might have one. All right, now we've got our 5 cookies that we set to the side. The reason we did this is because we are gonna cut them in half, and we are gonna use these halves to decorate the top of our trifle. The next layer of our chocolate trifle is chocolate pudding. I've used a 5.9 ounce box of chocolate pudding, just prepared it according to the instructions on the back, added the 3 cups of milk, whisked it together. This is one part that I don't do in advance, like the cake or the cookies. I like to make the pudding as I'm making the dessert. The reason for this is it just becomes a little bit easier to work with, doesn't thicken up too much, and it's really easy to pour over the other layers. We're gonna wanna make sure that as we're pouring this over our dessert, we're getting some around the edge so that we can see that nice layering, and the pudding helps us with that. So now we have all of our components ready to go. We've got our rich chocolate cake, we've got our chocolate toffee crunch cookies, our chocolate pudding, Cool Whip, Heath bar. Now's the fun part, let's assemble. Step 1, spread half of the chocolate cake cubes onto the bottom of the trifle dish. The cake adds a soft, tender texture while infusing the trifle with rich chocolatey goodness. Step 2, add a layer of cookie crumbles. I usually use about 5 to 6 cookies for each layer, chopped into small pieces. This not only adds flavor, but a crunchier texture too. We are going to use these cookie crumbles between layers, and then the cookie halves as decoration on top of the dessert. Step 3, add half of your chocolate pudding on top of your cake and cookie crumbles. This provides a smooth, velvety texture and is truly an indulgent layer in our dessert. Make sure you use a spatula to spread it evenly across the surface. We really want to be able to see each and every layer, and that's why it's important to spread the chocolate pudding all the way to the edge. Next up, just dump that entire tub of Cool Whip over top. This is a subtly sweet, creamy element that complements the denser, more rich chocolate layers of the dessert. This, combined with the chocolate pudding, really helps meld all of the flavors together. This is going to be a really generous layer, and it will be thick. Again, just like the chocolate pudding, be sure to use your spatula to press it all around the edges and get the entire surface covered. And the last step in the process, before we repeat it all again, just top your Cool Whip with your Heath bar pieces. I use about 1/2 cup with each layer. Now we're going to repeat each step. Step 6 is spread all of your remaining chocolate cake crumbs across the entire surface. Step 7, another layer of crumbled cookies. Remember, each layer is about 6 cookies. Step 8, chocolate pudding. Just spread the rest of your chocolate pudding across the cake and cookie crumbs. The pudding may be a little thick at this point, and so if you need to thin it out to pour it over the dessert, just add a little bit more milk and whisk together. Step 9, time for more Cool Whip. Simply add your second tub of Cool Whip and evenly spread across your dessert. Step 10, we are almost done. Just add another layer of Heath bar pieces, about 1/2 cup. I usually concentrate these pieces in the middle of the trifle so that I can decorate the outer edge with cookie halves. I've used 5 cookies, cut them in half, and I'm simply just going to decorate the outer edge around my Heath bar with the cookie halves. This really is where you could show off your creativity. You could place the cookies into a food processor and top the entire trifle with coarse chopped cookie crumbs, or you could place whole cookies on top. It's really up to you. Wow, look at this. And it's really heavy too. But look at all those layers. Oh, it looks delicious. We're gonna place some aluminum foil over it, stick it into the refrigerator for a few hours. This is a dessert that you could serve right away, but it really is better the longer that it sits and all of those flavors meld together. So I'll pop it into the fridge and I cannot wait to dig in. So I just took my trifle out of the fridge. It was in there for a couple of hours and it looks absolutely delicious. You can still see all of the beautiful layers. I'm gonna use a large spoon to scoop it into smaller bowls so that it's ready for serving. Yum! Chocolate cake, cookies, chocolate pudding, Cool Whip, Heath bar. I don't know that I can think of a better, more indulgent combination. Be sure to let us know if you give this trifle a try and if you've put your own twist on it. We would love to hear about it. As always, make sure to give us a like, and if you've not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? I'm Lindsay from My Better Batch. Thanks for baking with me today. Yum! I'm gonna exit now. Give me a second.